Carl and Damon here from Brrraaains A Head-Banging Life, gbhblofficial for short, and I'm going to get relaxed because it's Let's Talk, and we're talking about our memories of one of the most underrated consoles ever.
Yeah.
Although people that feel the way we do, I think, about it would argue, or no, it's getting a bit more respect. It's got a bit more respect over time.
Yeah.
But I remember the time people laughing about this console. It is, of course, the Nintendo GameCube. People used to laugh at the silliness of it. I remember getting one and being a bit embarrassed about how it looked and thinking, why has it got a handle on it? And then you'd see like a picture that they put out of like someone walking down the street carrying it.
Yeah.
I'm like, I ain't walking down the fucking street carrying my GameCube like that, like a bag, you weirdos.
Yep.
You know, like elements like that. I don't think I ever used that handle.
No.
Baffled me. But aside from that, the design of it I always really liked. But obviously, you know, the smaller discs, you know, elements like that were always a bit like weird. But my earliest memory, right, of the GameCube, that's what we're talking about. We're doing earliest memories, or not, sorry, all memories of the GameCube, our memories in general. And it's random, no script. What do you think of when you think of the GameCube, the games, the system itself, and stuff like that? But I always remember just looking at it and being like, oh, thank God, look at the controller.
Yep.
It's a normal controller. Having learned that lesson from the Nintendo 64.
Yeah, but I still think with that controller, not from the N64, if you can play a computer with that controller, you can play with any controller.
Of course you can.
So, that controller, I mean, even the Dreamcast.
I was going to say, unrelated, which is better, Nintendo 64's controller or the Dreamcast?
I think Nintendo 64, only because the Dreamcast had two like back ones, I don't know.
Yeah, I would say Nintendo 64, provided you didn't have the fucking anything plugged in the back of it, because that added weight to it and unbalanced it unnecessarily so. Whereas the Dreamcast with a VMU in it as well was just a weighty. The Dreamcast was ugly. Yeah. That thing was ugly. And what the fuck was the point of the VMU? Yeah. I always remember like putting it in for Shadow Man and being like, oh yeah, well with it plugged in, it will show you a display of the teddy bear.
Oh yeah.
Why do I care?
You can play the
Chocobo Garden. That was like his major thing, really. But anyway, I digress. That'll be a conversation. Let's talk about our memories of the Dreamcast in the future. We are sticking exclusively to the GameCube here. And like I said, I'm talking about the controller first, purely because I was just so pleased that they clearly went, yeah, fuck, that PlayStation really nailed the controller, didn't it? Yeah. But we can't copy that. All right, let's do that. Let's add a ton of buttons that nobody really wants or needs to use, which they did, because that's what we do as Nintendo, but we'll basically copy it. We'll also make it look like a fucking toy, which, you know, take or leave. Did we ever own a purple GameCube? Because I'm pretty sure the best GameCube I owned was the black one, and it's the only one I ever owned. I think I always was put off by the ugly look of the purple, but I don't remember owning a purple one.
No, so I mean, I've still got a GameCube because obviously I've got all the retro things, but mine was black too. Yeah, so I don't think we ever did. No, it was always black.
Yeah, I don't remember.
Did we have a silver one at some point?
Ooh, a silver one. Yeah, there was a silver one as well. You're absolutely right.
At some point, yeah, but we've never had purple. No.
But this was picked up back in the day based off a love of Nintendo.
Yeah.
I would argue, it's weird, right? So our video game history predominantly leans towards Sega to begin with, then obviously predominantly and only Sony. But at the same time, after a short period of PlayStation, Nintendo stepped in with the Nintendo 64, obviously with the Game Boys and stuff like that. And that kind of stuck for a long period of time.
Yeah, definitely.
Nintendo 64, Game Boy Advances, I still would cite the best handheld console in the entire world ever, aside from Switch, is the SP, which is just a Game Boy Advance, but it was the one with the backlight, small, folded up. That thing is my jam.
God, man,
beautiful.
I've got a purple one too, man.
Beautiful piece of equipment. But yeah, Nintendo 64, and then of course the GameCube. And to be honest, I can't see now, based on what I remember, why it was an instant pickup compared to, say, a PlayStation 2. Do you know what I mean? Like that. I think always been a fan of Nintendo and having, through the Nintendo 64, fallen in love with a series of games. Because remember, bear in mind, a lot of our first franchises and enjoyable franchises came from the Nintendo 64. Zelda. Not Mario per se, but Mario's I fell in love with. So there's no way that these were going to be in the GameCube and elements like that. That's what really, I think, sold it to me early on.
Yeah, I mean, I try to think now of when I was younger and why I enjoyed the GameCube so much.
Yeah.
And why I probably wouldn't enjoy it as much now. If the GameCube suddenly came out now, I wouldn't have as much as feeling towards it than I did when I was a
the
kid.
same sort of level of nostalgia feeling. I can understand that because I think a lot of that comes down to games more than anything else. The element of a console that is the most important, which is, of course, the games. What was really interesting about the GameCube as well, before we move on to the games, stick with the hardware, is this was the first one to introduce memory cards, wasn't it?
Yes.
It was the first Nintendo one to introduce memory cards.
Really small ones, too.
Yeah, that's right. I guess they were kind of stuck there because Nintendo always likes to be innovative. But like PlayStation kind of nailed that, and it was like, shit, we just kind of got to copy. We have to copy it. You know, this is way before we have massive internal hard drives and PCs in a box, so to speak. So we're still sticking with memory cards and elements like that. But beyond that, nothing particularly was that outstanding about the hardware. You know, it wasn't the prettiest of consoles, but it had a nice, cute look to it. We've touched upon the controllers. Obviously, the game disc was smaller, which apparently meant there was less available data on it or something like that. I'm not very clued up on that aspect of things, but I never really noticed it being a problem that I can reflect on. It always felt, you know what the GameCube always felt like? And it's similar, I guess, to the Switch. The Wii, it's similar to Nintendo in general. It always felt like they were behind when it came to the hardware.
Yeah, definitely.
Like you had the PlayStation 2 and it was powerful machine and it was high graphics and quality big games and stuff like that. And then there's the GameCube coming up behind going, hello, I'm your mate. Do you know what I mean? But I always loved it for the fact of that because it always felt like Nintendo would then put a lot more love and care into the games they released.
Obviously, Nintendo doesn't stand a chance to get against Sony.
When it comes... right. When it comes to, I'm interrupting you. I'll let you finish that.
I was going to say that when it comes to obviously for me the big three and the Nintendo, Sony, Microsoft. Yeah, so the big three. Okay. Yep. Now obviously Microsoft, Sony are way up there. Then there's Nintendo. I think Nintendo knows that they can't compete on the level with those two, but Nintendo does something that the other two don't do. It releases games which. Like if they released a new Mario on say the GameCube, right? I would go buy and play it because that's part of my memories of my history, you know. And I would still go back and play. I still play the odd GameCube games now, but on the level with the two top competitors.
So you're all right. I'm going to break down segments of your argument there, as I agree with some of it, and don't agree with other parts of it. When you say Nintendo can't compete or aren't at the level of Microsoft and Sony, I agree with you on the basis of hardware and how they design their consoles when it comes to capabilities, processing power, all the boring shit about consoles and stuff like that. Compare a Switch game to a Xbox Series X game. There's the contrast is got. They could be the same game, but one will run a hell of a lot better. Frames per second, all that nonsense that I struggle to care about a lot of the time, if I'm honest, right? That I agree with. But when it comes to money and elements like that, Nintendo, remember, the Wii is one of the biggest selling, if not the biggest selling console. I don't know if that's still the case, but for a time. And Wii Sports, for example, was the biggest selling console game of all time. Or maybe second to The Sims. You see what I mean? Like, all of that, all of that is where it comes from. But Nintendo, on that front, but you nail what Nintendo did better than anyone else. And you just mentioned, about it's the first party games, it's the IPs. It's the IPs that Nintendo own, it's the stuff they come back to, it's their flagship franchises, from your Marios to your Zeldas to other flagship, Super Smash Brothers, to Luigi's Mansion now, which of course made its debut on the GameCube. Massive, and all these other flagship... The others have one or two flagship franchises that, you know, I mean, tell me a flagship franchise of Sony now, that you know now. Okay? So let's think about this. Can't even say Crash Bandicoot anymore because it's available on all the consoles. God of War. The Last of Us. That's two, but I'm pretty sure, that's because Naughty Dog have that relationship with Sony, and I think if Sony would allow it, or if their money was spent in a certain way, I'm sure those games would appear on other consoles and so on. But that's all I can think of. I mean, I'm sure there are more. If you're a fanboy, one of those weirdo fucking fanboys that simps over a goddamn company, you can sit in the comments and tell us how we're fucking wrong. I don't care. We're doing this. But then, same with Microsoft. What's Microsoft's? Halo, yeah. Tell me another of Microsoft. Fuck me. Do you see what I mean? Like,
Skyrim? Is that?
No, God, no. Elder Scrolls is everything, isn't it?
Oh,
yeah. Because remember, we are obviously overlooking here. Gears of War. There's two. There's two. Yeah. So we've nailed two for the two mains. But compared to the Nintendo, and I can start listing off a fair few more. And there's probably some I'm forgetting about. and stuff like that. So, I mean, that's the difference in Nintendo. Nintendo's very protective of that. But here's the major thing, and the GameCube is a part of this as well, is Nintendo have always rarely fuck it up. Rarely fuck up those franchises. They rarely go, oh, yo, so we're doing a new Zelda. And you're like, well, that wasn't very good. Or we're doing a new Mario. That wasn't very... You know, it doesn't happen.
No, they're always good games. Yeah.
Even if they're not always your favourite, and I think that applies to the Mario game on GameCube, from my perspective, I think it still applies. You know, it's no secret that my favourite modern day console is the Nintendo Switch. I love it because not only is it a brilliant piece of hardware with some great games, but it's handheld. It's replaced my DS and all of that, and it houses my still to date favourite Mario game ever, which is Super Mario Odyssey. It is the best Mario game I've ever played, as well as many other incredible games that I thoroughly enjoy.
Yeah, see, I've not played Odyssey, so obviously I can't judge
the best one.
But I remember we had the debate obviously about 64 and Sunshine.
Yeah.
And obviously 64 was obviously like one of your all-time favourite
games. It's still my second favourite Mario game.
I said that I prefer Sunshine.
Yep.
But I said I'm thinking about it more now. I think the reason why I preferred Sunshine on the GameCube was because of the fact that I hadn't played 64 in a long, long time.
So it was fresh.
Yeah, so obviously this was a new Mario game with a new equipment,
new system, new
system. You know, so I think that's why, and obviously why I developed a love more for that game now. So
what makes me laugh about this is that Super Mario Sunshine isn't even in my top 3. So I don't even know if it's in my top 5 because my third favourite Mario game is Super Mario Bros. 3.
Do
you see what I mean?
Yeah, of course,
that's just an amazing Mario game. Do you see what I mean? Like those 3 there, Odyssey, 64, 3, and I'm now leaning. It's getting us slowly, but Galaxy's in my top 5 now as well. Do you see what I mean? Like, so I'm like, where does Sunshine fit in this? Because I'm almost like, but where does the original Super Mario Bros. Fit? Is that number 5?
Yeah, no, number 2.
So I mean, like, not fuck number 2.
Yeah, number 2.
I like it, but it's weird, and so that you know. But I suppose we'll start there then. I suppose that is an overriding memory of the GameCube on the video game side, which is Super Mario Sunshine.
Yep.
And I remember being disappointed initially. Because I didn't like the mechanic. I was like, what is this stupid water spraying feature stuff? Yeah. It didn't blow me away. I liked the idea. I liked how it looked. I loved the aspects of the levels and the fact that it had the familiarity with the shines and stuff like that.
Yeah.
That obviously... Are they shines? Is it shines?
Yeah, shines.
All right. Is it? Oh, it's just stars in 64.
Yeah.
So it had that similar feel and vibe to it. And also obviously was a lot more advanced and so on. But I was overtly unimpressed by the flood mechanic, the washing up stuff, and I found that always not that much fun. I also found the homeworld map often irritating to kind of explore. It didn't feel quite as impactful as, you know, Peach's Castle and stuff like that. So like I never really had a love for it. Now, playing the levels and going through them, there are some spectacular levels. And I like how the story plays out, and I think there's a lot more replayability with Sunshine than there is with 64 overall. So I've grown a lot more love to it, and playing it in the Mario All-Stars version on the Switch has made me appreciate it more. In fact, I find 64 incredibly difficult sometimes to play control-wise compared to Sunshine. So there is that aspect of it. But I'm not this love you have for it. Like it is when I think of GameCube, I think Mario, and I come back to that, but I don't always go, I go, oh yeah, rather than like, you know, deep love.
I mean, it's a Mario game. It's colourful. It's Mario. There's new things in it. You know, I think the only thing I didn't actually like, I didn't particularly like Bowser Jr.
I'm a big fan.
Big fan. I mean, it's not my favourite, but I mean, colourful was Mario. You know, it's sort of open world.
So you think you're changing your mind on it being your favourite Mario game, or you're still not sure? You still kind of like lean towards it because obviously you're missing a few of the important entries, isn't it?
Yeah, obviously. I mean, mine has started Odyssey and Galaxy and all that, which I haven't played yet. So obviously, I can't.
Well, I've not played Mario Galaxy 2, so
I can't judge it. But I've not played 64. I own it. Obviously, I own it on the N64, but I've not played that probably in maybe 5-6 years.
It's a big commitment to go back and play it for no reason, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, give me achievements and Xbox, I got it.
Well, part of the reason why I play this stuff is because it's handheld.
Yeah.
If I had to sit and plug in my TV all the time, I wouldn't. You know, I ended up like I've played the Resident Evil games right to death. They re-released them under the Switch, and I paid for Resident Evil Remake, the HD remake, again, purely because you know what I wanted to do? Sit there and play it on. And I wanted to do that for the first time ever. And it was like, it was still Resident Evil, but I was like, this is so cool.
Of course, yeah.
I've looked a couple of times at other games I've played loads, the Spyro Reignited trilogy, and I've looked at that and been like, well, you played it, you can play it on Xbox Series X, but I kind of want to play it on a that's what the drive is more than anything else. I've even looked at it, although I haven't bought it, and I probably never will, but a couple of times I've gone, should I buy Skyrim? Because handheld Skyrim, you know, that kind of thing.
So I mean, obviously, back in the day, we had a big love for Breath of Fire 3.
Oh, God!
And when I back in the day, when I had a PSP, I used to love playing that on the PSP.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, sitting back or at work in my van working to sit there playing.
Such a shame that failed. Yeah. I know we're going to get a topic here. We are going a mile off topic. It's just conversation. But yeah, I do. PSP should have been Sony's answer, and I can't believe that thing failed. Yep. The support for it was terrible. The idiotic design for it was terrible. The idea about the movies, the UMDs, was it? Yeah, they were so dumb. Definitely. That should have been spectacular. PlayStation games in your pocket. Yep. My God. And I generally think everybody's too frightened now. They've always been too frightened, but I think that's an area Nintendo will forever dominate.
Yes.
Dominate.
Yeah, definitely.
So what else memories? So think GameCube, and we go, right, I'm going to sit down and you're going to ask me, right, to list off 10 games that make you immediately... Let's do this, right? Let's I don't have a pen. No, I don't have a pen. A bit of paper.
That's my problem now. Okay.
Police cars today.
Oh, yeah. GameCube and its games.
No, stop. Go back and do... That's the problem, yeah?
That's my problem now with the GameCube.
Overall,
the
catalogue.
I think there's only maybe 10 to 15 games which are like, yes, brilliant, stand out. And then the rest are like... Yeah, no, I'm pretty sure there's probably about 50 I've never played.
I wonder if I can find out. Can I find out? There are... So there's roughly 650 games overall on the GameCube.
I reckon I played 20.
No, I reckon it's more than that.
Probably.
But I do agree with you on the aspect of that its memorable games are a different story. Yep. I would say of an overall catalogue, it's probably the console I played the least amount of games on compared to everything else. Maybe the Dreamcast has less for me personally. Maybe. GameCube's got to be up there. So let's do this. Let's just throw out, off the top of my head, so we've done Super Mario Sunshine, yeah?
Yep.
What games come immediately to mind?
Harvest Moon.
Whoa. Yeah. Right, let's discuss Harvest Moon. So this was obviously the Story of Seasons franchise.
Yep.
I didn't know that at the time. Just thought it was a standalone game and the first experience of any Harvest Moon. To date, my only experience of a Harvest Moon game. There have been loads of them.
I'm gutted too. Mine too.
There's one on the Xbox.
Is there?
Yeah. There's one on the Xbox. I keep looking at it, but I don't want to pay, I think it's £30, and I don't want a commitment.
Is it a Harvest Moon?
No, it's called Stories of Seasons. Harvest Moon, because Harvest Moon it's not its official name.
Oh, yeah.
I think it was Stories of Seasons Harvest Moon or something like that. There's a Stories of Season. It's a remake or re-release of one that appeared on one of the Nintendo consoles. I've just blown your mind, haven't I?
Yeah.
He's like, okay. Have a real quick look. Stories of Seasons Xbox. Friends of Mineral Town. Oh, it's £17.49. Friends of Mineral Town.
I
love it when this happens.
Yeah, because it's like...
There it is.
Oh, wow, man. Yeah.
There it is. Yeah.
Yep.
Damon's got a game to play. Damon's got a game to play. I love it. Oh, what's funny, we'll check in with you next time I enjoyed it. But right, Harvest Moon.
Yep.
This is the first experience of this kind of like build a farm, meet people, get a girlfriend in a cartoony style and so on. And I know I played this game to death, right? Definitely. But tell you what, nostalgia sure makes me blind, doesn't it?
It does.
I think this game kind of sucks.
It does, yeah.
I think it's bare bones, near empty, incredibly repetitive. Mm-hmm. I can't believe when I went back and tried it again a couple of years ago, was like, there's like 3 areas. It's the smallest map going. And there's nothing you can do. Once you've kind of gone through like the whole get married and stuff like that, that's it. That is it.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I always screaming out for I want a big farm game, just a big open world, big map, you know.
Yeah,
and then
that's what you want, yeah.
Then we had like My Time at Porsche, which was sort of similar to that.
Yeah, but it had a story and a quest, so actually meant you had a good reason to keep playing beyond that.
I mean, yeah, I mean, we put in many hours into that game.
Yep.
And it's really,
I have good nostalgia memories though.
Yeah.
Now, when I think of it, I can picture the area with the waterfall, which is up the top.
Yep.
I can picture one of the Buffy, the blonde-haired waitress.
Yeah, Buffy. Yeah. And you had the two weird brothers who you could play that little game with.
Nope, don't ring a bell.
Yeah. It's like you got to draw the lines and create a circle with them.
No, I don't remember it.
Yeah.
No, I don't remember that. But yeah, maybe you do.
Yeah, you had the hippie guy with like looks like a leprechaun.
I don't remember this at all. No, see, my memories of this are not that great.
My memories are because I've played it recently.
It's weird though that is one that comes to mind. But you are right, it was a game that we played a lot. Okay, I'm going to throw out the one that when I think of the GameCube, it's the first game I think of.
Pikmin? Nope.
Pikmin. Luigi's Mansion.
Of course,
Luigi's Mansion. I would say that this was the reason, and it was a launch title, wasn't it? Because they didn't launch with a Mario game, they launched with a Luigi's game, and everyone was like, what?
Yeah.
And I loved it. I still love it. I admire what they do. I think it's fun. I think it's clever.
Yep.
But it is dated. And it is a game that has been improved on by two excellent sequels, including the latest one, Luigi's Mansion 3 on the Switch, which is set in a hotel. So it's a lot bigger, a lot grander. I love Luigi's Mansion 3. I really do.
Yeah.
But I love Luigi's Mansion 3 because I love Luigi's Mansion.
Yeah.
I loved trying to get the highest score, collecting all the money, the secrets and discovering the hidden places and things that you could miss that meant you got a lower score. Getting the biggest mansion at the end was so satisfying.
Trying to get all gold frames.
Yeah, there was so much to do in that for such a small thing. I loved how it looked. I loved the fact that as well, like you'd play it and there'd be these little references to Mario and elements like that. I know Mario's in it to a degree.
Everyone's favourite room, and everyone's done it. I've done it so many times. Is when you go into the music room.
The music room, you get it playing.
Everyone's tried one at a time, and then adding two together to see how it sounds.
It's just a cool little touch, isn't it?
Yeah, of course, yeah. And it's Luigi's standalone game.
I think he might have had someone like some educational games on the Super Nintendo and Nintendo, but this was the first. I may be wrong about that. I'm not entirely sure, but as far as I'm concerned, this is the first major Luigi standalone game. And I still love it. I still think it's a strong entry, and it's immediately the first game that comes to mind in the GameCube. Mm-hmm. Right, let's do the other one you threw out then. You said Pikmin.
Yeah.
So, Pikmin, it's had a few sequels as well. I think there's a new one coming out on the Switch soon.
I played one and two.
I've only ever played one.
On the GameCube, yeah.
I've only ever played one. I'm not that big of a fan, if I'm honest. Are you?
I've completed it many times. You know, and I enjoyed it. It's.
I like the strategy puzzle aspect because, of course, if you don't know what Pikmin is, you effectively play a space warrior that lands on a planet. He's got to repair his ship, and these little creatures called Pikmin. And basically, later games, if you play things like Overlord, would have a similar vibe where you collect minions and you send them off to do tasks. Different colours are capable of doing different things.
Yeah, you got blue,
one that go in the water and elements like that. It's that aspect. Yeah, in fact, if you played Overlord, the games that were released on Xbox 360, that is exactly what they copied. It was cute. It was nice looking. It was a nice mix of challenges, not being the small sort of bigger world kind of thing. Yeah. But I don't reflect on it in like a really exciting way.
I think obviously it's a short. Obviously you get 30 days because obviously you got to repay your ship in 30 days.
Oh, do you? I don't remember this.
Yeah, 30 days. Yeah, if you don't finish in 30 days, it's game over.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so obviously you can finish it in 10 days.
Oh, right, fair enough.
It's a short game. You know, but yeah, so I've got memories.
But the fact that it was your choice that you brought up, so I'm going to go to the next one. Come on, Damon, what is it? It's the first time we ever played this franchise. Blew our minds back in the day, but I can tell you it's a franchise that has got a lot fucking better since then. It is, of course, Animal Crossing.
Okay.
Animal Crossing. That was the first time we'd ever. In fact, I don't know actually. Was that the first time it appeared? I don't know if it was the debut game.
It was the first what
was it? New Horizons?
Yeah,
New Horizons. It was the first one we definitely played. And yeah, that whole kind of like daily thing and chilled out gameplay. It was fascinating at first. Like all Animal Crossing games, for the first month, obsessed with it, jumping in every day and all that kind of thing. And then, like with all Animal Crossing games, same with the one that's on Switch right now, I just don't go back and play it because there's nothing to do in it. I don't just want to go there and do the same thing over and over again, so I get bored of it. And that was the same with Animal Crossing, but it was the first time I ever experienced it, and I probably started that game more times than not. You know what I always remember about Animal Crossing in the GameCube? Rossetti. You'd get pissed off if you turned the console off.
Oh shit!
Because of the saving feature, how it works, that thing. So I remember that. But yeah, it's just it's a memory because it was the first experience of it.
I do remember. Again, I'm putting a lot of time and effort into that. But again, like you said, it got to a point where I think
bored.
I think all I was doing was logging on to try and get the museum fossils. And
then
I got to a point where it was like just got boring. As you said,
Okay. Yeah, I feel the same. It is a game I associate with GameCube, but not enough. Do you have another one?
Yeah.
Go on.
Doshin the Giant.
Doshin the Giant.
Doshin
Goodness
the Giant,
me, yes. This is a game that I agree with you, I wholly associate with the GameCube. It's a memory that immediately comes back. A game that should have been way better than it was.
It should have been,
purely because of the reset feature.
Yeah.
To explain Doshin the Giant, you basically have to terraform a piece of land, help create life while growing bigger through a combination of being good or bad. You can cause destruction, whatever, until the day ends, and then it resets and you do it all again. That's it, basically, isn't it?
Pretty much, yeah. I mean, I got to a point with this. I don't own this game because on eBay it's like 40, 50 quid.
Really?
It's such a rare game it is nowadays. But I got to a point where I wanted to play this game so bad that I went on YouTube and I watched some 15-year-old boy, I think it was, play this game. So I thought I'll watch him play it.
Cool.
Let's get some memories. And after about an hour, I was like, nah, do you know what? It was a fun game when I was a kid, but I just can't see myself going through it all again.
We wanted, you know what we wanted? So at the time, or maybe before that, there was a game on PC called Black and White, which had these giant sort of animals, but it was more like about world building. We wanted that from Doshin the Giant. And the problem was you would spend ages and terraforming this land and creating this world and helping the villagers and making all these things, and then it would reset. And it'd just be like, do it again on a different day. And it was like, but why? I also always remember being infuriated because part of the ending of the day has Doshin the Giant slowing down to stop, basically. It took ages! And you'd get bored and be like, oh, fuck it, I'm going to be evil. I'm going to turn into a devil and go around wrecking. And it is fun to leap in the air and all that kind of thing. But once you've done that, once or twice, you're just like, whatever. It's just weird.
Yeah, I mean, it's a typical Japanese game or something.
I mean, I presume so. Yeah, I don't know which company made it. I have to look into it. We're not going to do that now. No. But yeah, it is a good memory. But I'm going to throw out a couple. This one group together because we've talked about it in so length. I don't really want to go into much detail about it, but we're just going to throw it on once. But of course, Capcom signed a deal with the GameCube and Nintendo to remake and re-release Resident Evil and a new Resident Evil game called Resident Evil 0 and just re-releases of Resident Evil 2 and so on. So we can't not mention them. Whenever we talk about the Resident Evil original HD remake, we always say the GameCube one. Yeah. That's how significant that is. Abso-fucking-lutely. It is still one of the most standout remakes I've ever seen, including what's happened recently with Resident Evil 2 and 3 and 4. That Resident Evil, the original remake, was simply spectacular. But also Resident Evil 0. A great game with flaws. I really don't understand. I know they wanted to do something innovative. So the swap between characters and the no inventory boxes and all that kind of thing. And once you get used to it, you can handle it.
Of course.
But that game is underrated. It probably has one of the best opening sequences part of any Resident Evil game out there, I'd say, which is the train. The entire train. I think the game drops quality when you end up in a facility,
it does,
but the train segment at the start is just differently unique and cool as fuck. But we aren't going to mention that out without going too much into it because it's Resident Evil. And we talk about Resident Evil to death.
Exactly,
There was another game in the GameCube that was the first time we played this franchise. Even though it appeared on the Nintendo 64 and most people played it there, we never did. At least I know I didn't. But we played to death this game on the GameCube.
Franchise,
yeah, it's a franchise. There's a great version on the Switch that I played as well, and you know what? We played it together a lot.
Okay,
see, the fact it's not coming to your mind, I guess, is different.
It's not what I was going to say.
Super Smash Brothers Melee. Super Smash Brothers Melee. Come on, we played to death that fucking thing. It was our first experience. Yeah. Obviously, there was a Super Smash Brothers on Nintendo 64, but I never played it.
Man, I was well wrong. What I was going to say.
What were you going to say?
I was going to say Final Fantasy Chronicles.
Oh, Crystal Chronicles!
Yeah.
God almighty, that got re-released, and I've been meaning to one day pick it up, but I don't know if I want to.
It was a very bad game. I remember.
I just remember we were hoping for something more Final Fantasy related, and it was very different.
Very different.
Might be worth a replay,
Could be,
just to see if it actually was very good. I'm going to keep that in mind. But yeah, Super Smash Bros. Melee, it is what it is. It's Super Smash Bros. And an awesome fighting. It's the first time I'd ever experienced a system where the percentage and the idea is to get it to like higher and then you get launched further. So much fun. But also having Nintendo characters fuck each other up. Who didn't enjoy seeing Kirby smashing Link around the screen?
Funny,
or, you know, Princess Peach and Zelda facing off. That's fun as fuck, you know? Oh, I was always, because there was a lot of characters you didn't know. Like, for a long time I didn't know who the people were. Like, Ness from Earthbound and stuff like that had a baseball bat. Boom! Like, that was a killer weapon. What a prick. You know what I mean? You launched it up and you jump into it and smash it.
Yeah, indeed.
But I have great memories of Super Smash Bros. Melee.
Yep. So I was going to quickly fire at like 3 or 4 quickly. So Skies of Arcadia.
Oh, Legends. Right, so we will touch upon this. This is the re-release of Skies of Arcadia that was released on Dreamcast. It was called Legends and it added extra content, including different bosses and a plot point of a guy that's hunting you as a bounty, who gets really fucking difficult. But we cannot stress enough. I'm sure we've mentioned it before. Remake don't even remake it. Re-release Skies of Arcadia. It is one of the most underrated RPGs out there.
100%.
Brilliant. Yep.
Twin Snakes.
Oh, Metal Gear Solid Twin Snakes. Yep.
Remake, I suppose.
Remake. An underrated remake. It was a very good remake. Absolutely right. Good call.
And one game which I played to death. I'm not sure about you played, but again, it's so impossible to find. Fires of Emblem.
I never really played these games. Obviously, it's a franchise, isn't it?
Loved the game in the GameCube. I think last I saw it is £120 to buy off eBay. That's how rare it is.
Really?
Yeah, that's how rare it was.
Yeah, I know it's a franchise because I'm pretty sure either there's a new version out on the Switch now or there's a version coming or something like that at the time of recording. Yeah, there's some good shouts there. Some of them I've forgotten about. See, there are more than we remember. There's a few I've got one in mind, right? That I only remember playing briefly, so I don't know if it's fair to include it. But do you remember Cubivore? Where he was like these cubed animals and it was like fighting and you had to eat and evolve and stuff like that. Do you remember that? No? Okay. I don't have strong memories of it, but it definitely kind of jumps to mind. I'm going to go through the list on Wikipedia and see if there's any that jump out that we've forgotten about. Baldur's Gate Dark Alliance. They released that on Nintendo Switch. I'm playing it at the moment. Love that. Absolutely incredible game. Love that. Okay. Die Hard Vendetta.
Oh, fuck it, of course, yeah.
I actually think this is a terrible game. I think this is a terrible game.
Again, we played that a lot.
Played it a lot. Don't think I ever completed. I think I remember getting. It was really fucking hard.
I know it was obviously PlayStation banned, but obviously I played the Sims to death on the GameCube too.
Of course, of course. Yeah, that was. What do you reckon that was our first Sims experience?
I think it was.
Because we weren't playing. We didn't have PCs. Parents couldn't afford that sort of thing. We've forgotten one. We are, and that's what I'm enjoying about this memory look back. And I've kind of forgotten because it got re-released on modern consoles with achievements, and I played it there. But it first appeared on the GameCube, and I still think it's one of the coolest games out there. Beyond Good and Evil.
Wow.
Beyond Good and Evil. I love that game. That soundtrack is so killer. Immediately in my head, I'm hearing it.
That's a big one to forget, actually.
Loved it. Loved the ideas behind it. Loved the concept. What I loved, I guess why I think it'll re-release more is because the re-release's achievements were also tied into elements of the gameplay that it might not normally do. As often, such as photographing or collecting every single, whatever it is, the orbs of pearls or whatever like that. But yes, Beyond Good and Evil, an incredible game.
Wow,
Yeah, so there's another one. Billy Hatcher and the Giant Egg. Oh my god. That was a hard but very fun 3D platformer. Billy Hatcher and the Giant Egg. Yeah, you remember it?
Yep.
Okay, what else we got?
I'm trying to think what the ones I got at home.
I didn't play much of this, but I know it was on GameCube when I first experienced Blood Omen 2.
I played that game. Yeah.
Blood Omen 2.
Played it, completed it. It's
not very good from what I remember, right?
It's a very poor game. But
well, yeah, I think because we hear Blood Omen 2, we're like, so like the sequel to Blood Omen, but in like modern day, that would be really cool. Blood Omen, the original, still holds up better, doesn't it?
Definitely. I might be wrong, but No.
Well,
Carmageddon was 64, I think it was.
Carmageddon was a lots of stuff, yeah.
64, yeah.
Didn't really play a Secubivore, Survival of the Fittest. There it was. Yep, I didn't make it up. What else? You know what? It's not here, popped up, but I've just remembered it. It's popped in my head. Beautiful Joe. Do you remember Beautiful Joe? The platformer. The very hard platformer.
No, I don't.
You don't remember Beautiful Joe? It might have been one of the last games I ever played in the GameCube, because I think it came out quite late in its life. I might be wrong on that, but I vaguely remember it being like at the end of its life. Right, Doshin the Giant was developed by a company called Param. Param. Never heard of him.
Nope.
Never heard of him.
I know there's many Star Wars games like Rogue Squadrons and all
Of course, yeah, we should touch upon that.
Yeah,
that was the first time I ever played, because the Rogue Squadron original appeared on Nintendo 64. Rogue Squadron 2 appeared on the GameCube, and that was the first time I'd ever played a Star Wars game like that. That was a lot of fun.
It was,
the first time bringing down the 8080s.
Very hard games.
Yeah.
But I think we it was the medals, because they had to get like gold medals.
Yeah.
Very hard game. But
because they also did a Phantom Menace Episode 1 as well, didn't they? Oh no, Star Wars Episode, that was Nintendo 64. Racer was Nintendo 64.
Okay, yeah.
We'll touch upon it because we did again, but Crystal Chronicles, what's your overriding memory of that game?
I remember a caravan. The
caravan, yeah.
Following around and having to carry a chalice.
Yeah, you were going to collect something, weren't you?
Yeah.
But it took place over days, and then it kind of didn't it just reset or something like that.
Something like that. Yeah. I mean, I remember putting a lot of time into it, but
I remember the music. Weirdly.
It's some upbeat music.
I think visually it looked more in line with Final Fantasy 9 as well.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
So we were wrong. It wasn't Harvest Moon. The Harvest Moon game was a Wonderful Life on the GameCube.
Yeah, Wonderful Life. Yeah.
Did you know there were 2 other Harvest Moon games in it?
I know there's a lot of Harvest Moon games because I used to always try and find them, but I could never find them.
Another Wonderful Life, a Magical Melody. Apparently they were on it. Yep, there was a Hobbit game.
Hobbit.
Yeah, the Hobbit. It's just called a Hobbit. Definitely never played these.
No.
I didn't do really. I don't think I played any sports games on the GameCube at all.
No, because most of our wrestling games were PS1, wasn't it?
Yeah. I wasn't when GameCube was around. I wasn't into wrestling anymore,
Yeah.
so there was none of that. But no football games or anything like that. Oh my god, how could we have forgotten it? I'm ashamed of us. And you're probably sitting there going, "How have they fucking forgotten it?" In fact, we've forgotten 2 things, but we'll touch upon the first one, of course. The Wind Waker. The Legend of Zelda, The Wind Waker.
Wow.
How could we have forgotten it? At the time, like everybody, I was extremely put off by the cel-shaded graphics and the overtly kiddiness of it. Having loved, adored Majora's Mask and Ocarina of Time, it was like, what the hell is this? What have they done? I now think The Wind Waker is up there as one of the best for story, world exploration, and things you get to do. People talk to me about like what are some of your favourite moments in Zelda. We might actually do this in the future as a video where favourite moments overall, right? And I always say one of them comes from The Wind Waker, and it is the sight of Link driving the sword into Ganondorf's head. It's like, that is nuts.
That is nuts. Yeah,
that is nuts. Just that douche, you know. It's like, whoa, that's cool. Love it. Absolutely amazed by it. Like, I love the soundtrack. Whenever I hear sounds from it, whatever, I get this nostalgic kick and so on. I adore it. Loved exploring the islands. Yeah, it's a big map of nothing.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
But what I love as well is that it's a really depressing story, and obviously it's part of the branching Zelda storyline now.
Yeah.
Obviously, where Hyrule went under the water was really depressing in that element. But my God, what a game!
Indeed,
what a game! Yeah. But weirdly enough, right? And I was disappointed by this, but I had stopped playing the GameCube by the time Twilight Princess came along, so I've never played it.
No,
never played it. I always want these people to say it's good, but thankfully they re-released Skyward Sword, which is the Wii game on the Switch. I have got it. I have started it, but I really want to get into that as well.
Yeah.
But we would be remiss if we didn't mention, although it's technically a collection, the Master Quest, the collection. The Master Quest collection. It was a collection of Zelda games, including Master Quest, which was the Ocarina of Time again. I'm trying to remember what it contained. Let me bring it up so I can tell exactly what it contained. So basically it was an altered version of Ocarina of Time, changing up the dungeons and stuff like that.
No, I don't recognize one.
Really?
No.
Okay. Really?
Yeah, I don't.
All right, fair enough. But that's it really for Star Wars.
Star Fox, was that one?
Star Wars. I want to say Star Wars. Because I'm looking at Star Wars. That was it for Zelda. Star Fox Adventures. Yeah, Star Fox Adventures. A game a lot of people hated. But I loved.
Yeah,
people are like, oh, it's a Zelda clone. It's like, yeah, but Zelda's good. Zelda's good.
I mean, it was a lot of the. I think we covered this before. The animations were all sort of similar.
Back when we did our flashback series, this stuff came up then.
Yep.
So the flashback series, all 100 episodes, obviously on the channel. Go back and watch that if you want to see the specific conversation about Star Fox Adventures. But I still have strong memories of that.
Yep.
Loved that look, loved that it sounded, loved the soundtrack.
Obviously, our Star Fox was Lilac Wars.
Yeah, Lilac Wars from the 64. Yeah, of course, absolutely. So it was different, and you had moments of that.
Of course, yeah.
But I still got fond memories of Star Fox 64.
Yep.
You know what we've forgotten, and I definitely played it for the first time on it. The Two Towers, the Lord of the Rings Two Towers game. That was so fucking cool.
Was that my first time?
Was it your first time?
I definitely played them all on the PS2.
Okay.
100%. But
difficult. So fair enough, you're not sure.
Yeah.
What about Mario Kart Double Dash?
Oh, yeah, of course, obviously, yeah.
It is not even close to my favourite Mario Kart game, but Mario Kart games, they're very close behind each other about what the best are. Double Dash is cool as fuck.
Yeah.
I like its concept of having two races and two aims. It's a small thing, but it makes a difference.
Yeah.
Problem is that when I think of Mario Kart, greatest Mario Kart, I go 64, Super Nintendo, and probably 8, which is on the Switch right now.
Yeah.
That's probably my order. But yeah, 64 and the SNES, the original, go ahead. But I still love Double Dash. Love a lot of the racetracks they introduced in that as well.
Crashing racing in there too, so.
Huh?
Crashing races in there too.
Crash Team Racing?
Yeah.
Oh, but I associate that with PlayStation more than anything else. You're talking about karting games.
Oh, yeah,
no, I'm talking about we're talking karting games.
Okay, yeah.
The Crash Team Racing is high up, dude.
Yeah.
High up. I'm pretty sure this is the first GameCube was the first time we played a golf game as well. Mario Golf game.
Oh my god!
Yeah, Mario Golf game.
Do you know what? I remember.
Yeah, I love it.
The amount of stress we used to have over that game, and we used to always play. Yeah,
absolutely. Always a lot of fun as well. They did a new Mario Golf game for the Switch. I picked it up, played it for like an hour, and was like, I'm not sure if I actually like this. Yeah, it's one of those where I'm kind of like, oh. You kind of remember it in a different way.
I think because back then our choices were limited.
They were limited.
Now we have so
and we were
much
just
choices.
happy to get Mario games, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, that's what it is more than anything else. Because GameCube didn't have lots of these. So Metroid Prime.
Yeah.
Now, having never grown up playing Metroid, there was no real draw to do this, but the hype behind it and the fact that it was, first time it's third-person shooter.
Yep.
Didn't play it as much as I thought. I never completed it. But yeah, I always really liked it.
Do you think that's what these big franchises have the problem nowadays?
Yep.
Is that kids nowadays, they have too many choices.
Yeah.
We were back in the 90s, they must have made so much more, I would say, because we were all stuck with one set of, like, we didn't own all these consoles with one hit.
Of course.
We had like one console, the PS1, I think.
A game release day wasn't coming around, and we weren't getting 50 indie games released online via developers. You didn't have that. Everything had to be released physically. Everything cost a lot of money. Like, do you know what I mean? Stuff like that. Didn't play any Pokemon games on the GameCube. None at all.
Snap and Stay.
No, that's 64. Nope, nothing. I'm looking here. We've got Pokemon Box, Ruby and Sapphire, Pokemon Channel, and Pokemon Coliseum. And Pokemon XD Gale of Darkness.
No.
Never played any of them.
Nope,
never. Absolutely not. No Prince of Persia's. Next time I play Prince of Persia would be on the Xbox 360.
Yeah, never played either.
One was done. Resident Evil we talked about. Wow. I think one was done. Nope. Rugrats. Nope.
No,
I did have Scooby-Doo Night of 100 Frights.
What was it?
But I'd never really put time into it.
There was one that we did. I'm sure there was one that we
Then maybe it is the same one then.
Yeah, because there was one that I'm sure it was.
Definitely didn't put too much time into it though. Nope.
What?
This was, although people more remember it from other consoles, it was this console we played both of these. The Simpsons Road Rage and The Simpsons Hit and Run.
I keep hearing about remakes.
People want it, but it's not going to happen. People want it, it's not going to happen. Plus, nostalgia will probably blind you here. It may not hold up as well as it did.
This was like our Crazy Taxi version, wasn't it?
Road Rage was a copy of Crazy Taxi. Hit and run, had you been able to get out of the cars, do missions, explore Springfield and all that. The thing was, it was still at the height of The Simpsons. Nowadays, Simpsons are nowhere as popular. People are constantly saying it should be cancelled or stopped because it's too long in the tooth and stuff like that. But yeah, we know, we've talked about it in a separate flashback video. Hit and run, an absolute beaut. Road Rage, not so much, because it literally was a Crazy Taxi clone. And I remember, I'm not mentioning Crazy Taxi in this because that's a Dreamcast game for me. Absolutely. You mentioned The Sims. We've mentioned Skies of Arcadia. Sonic Adventure, that all stuff came from Dreamcast. What else we've got? Spider-Man's, no, I think a PlayStation when I think of that. Spyro, A Hero's Tale. Spyro, Enter the Dragonfly. Never. Star Fox Adventures. We've done the Star Wars games. We've played Super Mario Sunshine. We've talked about Melee. God, we really are out, I think. We're at the T's. Don't recognise any T's. Terminator game? No. Fucking hell, Damon. This is why we needed this list. Only, what I still say is one of the best first-person shooters in the entire world came out on the GameCube.
With a T, yeah?
Beginning with a T.
Toy Story, Commander?
No! What? Time Splitters 2!
Oh, God, yeah.
Time Splitters 2! Yeah. Oh, I still hold this up as one of the... My God, you're terrible. I don't even know, is that a thing?
Toy Story 2, I'm sure. But
like...
It's a picture of Buzz on the...
Yeah, but not a shooting game. But yeah, Time Splitters 2. What an incredible first-person shooting game. When I think of the game, I can picture the levels from Alaska at the start to the gangster one, to the one that's Blade Runner style, to climbing Notre Dame with that epic music.
Quality
Fucking, what a game. Love Time Splitters. God, are we going to find any more that would just like, oh my God. No Tomb Raiders, no Tony Hawk's. Turok Evolution? No, I played that on the Xbox 360. And Turok 1 and 2 on the Nintendo 64.
What horrible game.
Beautiful Joe, that I already mentioned. But I appear to be the only one that remembers that. We're at W. No Worms, no WWE games, no X-Men games. We're at Z. And that is it. That is it. God, more than we thought, though. I think we probably named about 30 games, 25 to 30 games.
But I mean, out of a collection of 660.
50 games, that's not much. But and also I'd say, like, some of them we were just like, oh yeah, rather than like, oh that, whatever.
Yeah,
and so on.
I think the problem was that a lot of them we played on previous consoles. Like
we would play on later consoles as well.
Yeah, I mean, because as you go, I was thinking of the Army Men games.
Yeah,
but I'm pretty sure that it was PS1. I think.
And Dreamcast. I remember playing that on Dreamcast.
Surge's Heroes, I think it's called.
Oh,
Sarge's Heroes.
Right, yeah, there was quite a few of them, wasn't there? Yeah, there's been quite a few of them. You've done PlayStation, Dreamcast, not necessarily GameCube, not necessarily at all. But what we've named, right? Yeah. What we have named and talked about here. They're the best. Yep. These are some incredible games that stand the test of time. Even if we didn't initially remember them, whether it be Resident Evil, Time Splitters 2, Wind Waker, Sunshine, Luigi's Mansion, Skies of Arcadia, Legends. There's so many. Even things like Harvest Moon that we have nostalgic value over whether or not they're quality games.
Yeah.
It reminds me that, like a lot of the consoles that Nintendo have done over the years, the catalogue, while limited, was fucking strong.
Yeah, exactly.
Give me 30 brilliant games over 300 average games.
Yes, yeah, definitely.
Any fucking day. Yeah, that's about it, I think.
Yeah.
I think we kind of trawl our memories of the GameCube. You still physically got one, right?
Yes, I do. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't. I don't have that stuff. I might one day when I eventually move home and hopefully get what I want and plan to get is an office room. I might set up a section where I've just got all consoles hooked up separately and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I've said my pride and joy is that I've got obviously the original white PS1 boxed. Dreamcast.
White one, or do you mean the grey one?
The
grey brick one.
The PS one, the little
one. The modern one. Yeah, the one that came after.
Yeah, so I've got that boxed. I've got a GameCube boxed, N64 boxed, the SNES, the Mario edition boxed. You know, the Mario and Head, both only 100.
Wow, incredible.
The SP boxed, Game Boy, the original brick Game Boy boxed.
Nerd! I'm joking.
These are my pride and joys, man.
Are you kidding me? Out of shot of the camera is like 4, 5, 6 rows of video game figures. Do you know what I mean? To his left is a pinata that I bought for like £10 in Morrison's because I watched a horror movie called Killer Pinata, went shopping, and that was the pinata from the movie, and I went to my wife, I am buying that. I still keep walking down that aisle every so often and wanting to buy other pinatas.
That's a lie, man. You bought because of Viva Pinata, man. We all know that.
I don't know what would that be? That's a pistachio, isn't it? Yeah, pistachio. Just pass it to me, Frank. We're talking about it. I want to bring it on camera, even though it's totally GameCube related. But there he is, exactly, a traditional pinata. Right, we're going to wrap this video up. That is our memories of the GameCube. We hope you had fun. We had fun talking about it. And look out for when we do our memories of other consoles and other stuff. It's Let's Talk. Let us know what you think in the comments. Thank you very much for watching. If you liked what you saw, please help us out by giving us a thumbs up and hitting that subscribe button. If you really liked what you saw, consider donating to keep the website and channel running by buying us a coffee via our coffee page or picking up some merch from our Big Cartel store. You can check us out on gbhbl.com as well as via our social media, Facebook, Instagram and Twitter, as well as listen to our interviews via SoundCloud, Apple Music and Spotify. Just search for GBHBL. Games, horror and heavy metal. What else is life for?